Hey guys, welcome back to Ask Snes. Hope you're all doing well today. Hope you had a great week. It's very, very hot in the UK at the moment. No, today in particular is pretty bad. It was really, really scorching yesterday, and today it's just humidity beyond belief. There's like a tiny little bit of a breeze coming through the window at the moment. Normally there's been no breeze this morning. It's just been heat, and I don't do well with heat. I'm not a heat person. I'm a winter person. I love my rain, my snow, my cold. I just can't deal with heat. Love the sunshine, just don't like the heat. But nonetheless, it is what it is, so, So I hope it's alright where you are anyway. So first set of questions this week, guys, are from Scribble Sam Animation, so cheers, Sam. And first question is, what is your opinion on, I don't even know how you say this, Manami Mamuchi, I think that's how you say it. I've probably butchered that one. Her videos are in Japanese, but I don't think you'll need to understand Japanese to find her funny. The masculine voice say it all. I have no idea, mate, so I'll have to have a look at the links for that one. Who out of Stevie Wonder, Pingu, Paul Gascoigne, Katie Hopkins and the Power Rangers would win in a fight? I think the Power Rangers would make Paul Gascoigne cry. There's a good chance of that, mate. Yeah, I think the Power Rangers have got that one sewn up pretty much. What is your opinion on the Sega channel? Don't think it ever took off well in the UK, and don't think most of us ever heard of it. Yeah, I did hear about it due to YouTube, really. That's the only reason I'm aware of it, because a few Americans have talked about it. I don't know too much about it, but from what I saw, yeah, it looks like a pretty cool idea at the time. I know like the Japanese had Satellaview for the Super Famicom as well, so they had a sort of similar system where you get like F-Zero 2 was one of the games, I believe. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man, especially at the time to be able to do that. What is your opinion of the Sega virtual reality? Had it never been a failure, had it never been the failure that it was, would you have liked to own a Sega VR helmet? Well, to be fair, at the time, mate, I was a Nintendo kid. I was Super Nintendo, so Sega didn't really interest me at all. There was only Streets of Rage was the only game that really caught my eye, and Castle of Illusion because it was awesome. But I was not really interested in Sega. I was all about Super Nintendo back then, so I wouldn't have even been aware there was a VR helmet. It was an interesting idea. I mean, they keep trying with VR at the moment, as we know. I don't think it'll ever take off, to be quite honest with you. I want it to. It'd be awesome. I think there's just too many barriers. The main one being when you're using it in your home is a bit different to using it in an event. An event's cool, but in your house, you've got a helmet strapped to your head, you've got headphones on, you're completely oblivious to your surroundings, and I think that's a very big negative for it. But yeah, we'll wait and see. I'm still betting on HoloLens. For me, holograms are the future. Do you agree with the Angry Video Game though that the Sega 32X should have been its own console? Or do you think it was cancelled in favour? Do you think it should have been cancelled in favour of the Saturn? Well, there's the Neptune as well, which I can never remember. It was that like a bridge between the Mega Drive and the Saturn. I can't remember. I don't know much about Sega's history, but I'm not sure if it's like the Neptune was going to be the next console. Then that got, because I'm sure there's a prototype that was found that's actually out there, or there's a couple of them, and then that got canned, and then Saturn took its place. The whole thing was a mess. I mean, they had the Sega CD, which was okay. We can look at it now and enjoy it more than it was back then because it wasn't that great, really. There's a lot of crap on that system. There's only a couple of decent games. But then, of course, they brought out the 32X, they went to the Saturn and the Dreamcast, and they were just, I don't think they had a plan. They knew what they were trying to do, really, where they wanted to go next. And I don't know if scrapping the 32X would have made any real difference, to be quite honest. I think their issue was with the Saturn and going to E3 and saying it's available now. It was just too soon. They didn't have a real strategy there. It's a shame because obviously the Dreamcast, out of all of them, was the best thing they did. It was, after the Mega Drive, fantastic console. But yeah, I don't really think it would have probably made that much difference if they scrapped the 32X. So cheers, Sam. Right, next set of questions from Nat Kennedy Breeze. Thank you, Nat. And first question up. If you could have Super Turrican 2, would you intentionally let Hulk Hogan jump on your ass and jump on you as you lay down on a bed of nails? Yeah. I'll take the pain for Super Turrican 2 because I need to own that game. Have you ever bought beer online? I haven't, mate, and to be honest, it's not something I've ever thought about. I suppose if you want to like the locally brewed stuff and all the special beers, then it makes sense. But yeah, generally, no, I'll just go to the supermarket because I don't really drink that much anyway, so... this week I've had a few beers because of the heat. Do you remember the TV show Hurricanes? I don't. Is that based around the Super Nintendo game? I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's where the Snes game came from. Have you ever considered trying out to be a porn star? Not really, mate, no. No, that's not a viable option. Would you drink 60 bottles of Tabasco sauce if you would net if it would net you £500, not 500 quid, maybe £1,000. Yeah, 500 is not enough. Which do you like? Hang on. Okay, that's a bit fucking dark, isn't it? That, where'd you come up with that one? So basically asking me which is worse, a man who commits paedophilia or a man who commits adult incest? Equal. I don't think, that's just fucked up. It's just, that's too dark a question, man. Can you guess my favourite type of game? No. That's a short answer. No, I can't. I wouldn't have a clue. Some people often ask me why I dislike Call of Duty and quite enjoy Final Fantasy, as they're both quite deep into their sequels. I say Final Fantasy is different every time, minus some names which are traditionally in the games, while COD is always exactly the same. Do you agree? I don't know enough about Final Fantasy, mate. I played Final Fantasy 7, hated it, never went back to the series, so I really can't say anything. Obviously, Call of Duty, yeah. If you're playing campaign, it's always the same thing. It never changes. It's completely crap. I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't any good Call of Duties, of course there were, but it's just driven itself into the ground now. What are your favourite sweets? Cola cubes, cola bottles, love those. Pineapple rock is amazing. I love kale, that stuff's just crack. I used to love, I can't remember what they call them, sherbet dip things. I don't know where you get them in other countries. They're absolutely amazing. They're like little tubes, like have a bit of liquid sticking out of them. They're just amazing. They look like blocks of cocaine with a fuse on them. They're just awesome. And if you travel to America, which fast food place that doesn't exist in the UK would you eat at first? I don't know, there's loads. I mean, I never know which ones are actual restaurants and which ones are fast food. Like Portillo's is one I want to try out. Five Guys is another one I want to try. Just anything really that's not in this country. And the good thing about America is there's so much variety of food as well from all different nationalities. So you always find something good to eat. And that's the good thing about watching programs like Man vs. Food and Diners, Drive-Ins and Dives. I couldn't think what it's called then. So you get to see how many different varieties are across America. It's just some phenomenal places. So yeah, I'd be in my element at that place. Right, next questions are from 16-bit Jay. Thank you, Jay. And his first question: since you have both, from what I understand, which has the better battery life between the Xbox One and the PS4 controllers? I've not used the PS4 controller extensively because I've only got 2 games for it, so they seem about on par, but I've not put enough. I'm not a gamer that's putting like enough hours into both consoles at the moment to really give you an accurate answer to that, mate, to be honest with you. They both seem to last quite well. I'd probably say at the moment the Xbox One is lasting longer. The Xbox is not chargeable though, it's just using AA batteries, so they're a bit difficult because obviously they're totally different in that respect in terms of the PS4 being a chargeable controller. So it depends how long that holds its charge. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't give an accurate answer, to be honest with you. For me, the surprise of E3 was EA revealing Unravel. What was your surprise of E3? That probably is the surprise because you would never expect EA to actually announce a game like that, something so cool. That was quite a nice little surprise. That. What else was there? Oh, and Star Fox actually being a proper Star Fox game, because I was convinced it wasn't going to be. I was convinced they were going to mess it up. But despite what everyone's saying, I think the game looks absolutely phenomenal. So, yeah, probably right. Unravel and Star Fox. Cheers, Jay. Right, next set of questions from LFC Gamer. Thank you, mate. And first question: do you hate it when people judge a game by its graphics and say that it's crap without knowing anything about the gameplay? Yes, mate, absolutely. I think it's ridiculous. Until you actually get your hands on with the game, you can't really judge it. We all like graphics. We all like beautiful worlds, and it makes it more immersive to play the game. Of course it does. But gameplay is key. If the gameplay is like crap, it don't matter how pretty it is. And this whole thing about 1080p, 60 frames, and all the technical stuff, and the graphics aren't good enough for the system, and it looks like an outdated system. It's like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, yes, we want pretty games, but I'd rather have a game that plays well than a game that just looks pretty. What is your favourite day that you usually enjoy a takeaway? I enjoy having one on a Saturday night with a few refreshments like that, and watching Match of the Day. I don't have takeaway that often, mate. I used to when I was younger, but now I really don't. I mean, I've got to watch my weight as well, so I try and avoid takeaway as much as I can. And the only occasional thing I would have is a Chinese, because there's one quite close to where I live. But yeah, I haven't got a particular day because I don't really eat takeaway that often. As well as the Dreamcast, what other console have you considered buying again? Well, at the moment, it's the Dreamcast, the N64 I definitely want to get back because I just love the N64, it's a great console. I consider the Atari Jaguar because I always consider the Atari Jaguar because it's just something I like about that console. I don't know, it's just got a bit of nostalgia, a little bit of nostalgia because my cousin was the only person I knew who had one, and I borrowed his console for a while when he went on holiday, and I was playing a lot of Doom. And also over the years of collecting, I've had the odd Jaguar here and there, and I just really like Jaguar. There's just something about that console. It's just a really cool bit of kit. Unfortunately, the prices are going up, and like all of the systems, it's getting expensive now. But yeah, I want to get a Dreamcast, possibly a Jaguar. I obviously want to get a Super Nintendo back again. I want to get a Sega Genesis again. I thought about the NES. I'm not entirely certain because it's expensive, because I won't buy a normal NES. I want to get an RGB modded one again with the Vile Tim mod, because it's just, the one I had last time was so impressive. But I don't know, it's a lot of money. You're talking like 200 quid to get a modded system, and then, you know, shipping and import tax and all that. Yeah, it's a lot of cash. So, but if I did, I would get one of those ones that are being made now where there's a guy doing, I found on YouTube a few weeks back, he's doing American top loaders, and he's doing a 3D printed Nintendo AV output, which he puts in the back of the console, so you can use it as if it was originally made that way. It looks really nice. So that would be the one I'd go for. But those are the main systems I'm interested in. Do you think the media has changed for the better or worse on mainstream gaming in recent times? I'd say it's pretty much the same, maybe a little bit to the worse. I think a lot of journalists become very jaded over the years, and they just expect a lot more than what they're given. And so a lot of the time you'll see a game like the older 1886 come out, and they'll pretty much say it ain't that great. They won't shit on it, but they'll just be like, it's not what they expected. They wanted more, and it's just not really pushing gaming forward and everything. Whereas people like me will play the game and be like, I actually really liked it, I enjoyed it, I got a lot of fun out of it. So I don't really take a whole lot of notice of what critics say. From the business standpoint, I do, because they make a lot of sense, and some of them, in particular like Colin Moriarty and Greg Miller, they seem to know what they're talking about when it comes to the business side. But in terms of game reviews, I mean, it's all subjective. We all think differently. We all like different things about different games, and we all hate different things about different games. So it all depends on which angle you're coming from. But I don't think journalism has changed that much in gaming. It's just maybe leaning a little bit towards the negative side sometimes unnecessarily. Okay, if you were to go to a fancy dress party, who would you dress up as? Ryu from Street Fighter, Fat Controller from Thomas the Tank Engine, thanks mate, or Elvis Presley? Probably Elvis, actually, because you wear the jumpsuit and the glasses. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, I'd go with Elvis. You're decorating, the pot of paint is teetering on the edge. Which do you push it towards? Manchester United season ticket or a block of stinking Bishop cheese? Manchester United season ticket, because I don't care about football. Although realistically the cheese, because you could actually sell the ticket on eBay for an extortionate amount of money. But I'm not a bastard, so I'd get rid of the ticket. What is your favourite Angry Video Game Nerd episode? I haven't really got one, if I'm honest with you, mate. I'm not like a hardcore fan, but I admire what he does, and I like James Rolfe's work. Ones that come to mind, probably the one with Batman, that was really funny. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. A lot of the older stuff, really, the more recent ones are a bit hit and miss, I found. Some are good, some are okay. Yeah, probably his Batman one was my favourite. And if you are struggling to get a really tight lid off a jar of mayonnaise, who would you ask to open it for you? Pingu, Stevie Wonder, or Paul Gascoigne? Paul Gascoigne's a tough one. I don't think he'd be capable of doing it at this point. Pingu's an animal, so it's going to have to be Stevie, which has its own issues. But yeah, I'd get Stevie Wonder to do it. Okay, next questions come from Muzz. Thank you, Murray. And Murray asks, you love E3, but what about other game shows such as Tokyo Game Show, GDC, which is the Games Developers Conference, or PAX? You also forgot Gamescom, mate. That's another one. I'll be honest with you, Gamescom's the only other one I really pay attention to. Last year was the first time I actually did some coverage of Gamescom as well, because there's some good stuff announced. Tokyo Game Show is alright, but they don't really announce much that really speaks to me personally. And as for GDC and PAX, I pay attention, but again, not a lot comes out of those. The GDC, as I say, is more for game developers anyway, so like a little bit of information leaks out. But I would say the main ones for me are E3 and Gamescom. And I'm looking forward to Gamescom this year, because there's going to be a demo of a game that I'm really looking forward to seeing, so that'll be interesting. Do you have interest in the new Deus Ex game? No. That's a simple answer, Maury. No, I don't. I've played Invisible War on the Xbox, and by played I mean dabbled, not really played it properly. They just don't really appeal to me. You said you haven't been playing mini games recently. What have you been up to in your free time instead? Watching E3, currently watching Wimbledon because the tennis is on. Loving that, absolutely brilliant. Go Andy. Love my tennis. What else have I been doing? Not a lot really. Watching a lot of TV and films. The problem is at the moment the American TV is drying up a little bit because the summer's coming, and so all the shows go off air and they all come back in the September and the winter times. But what have I been watching recently? I've just started watching Odyssey, or as it's called in America, American Odyssey. That's really cool. I like that. So I'm working my way through the full season of that. I recommend watching that show. On BBC Two at the moment. It started on Sunday, but it's already been aired in America, so you can watch it. And what else have I watched? Season 2 of Power started recently. The show, I don't know if it's created by 50 Cent, if he wrote it or he's involved somehow, but I really like it. It's on the Stars Network in America. It's a fantastic show. Highly recommend it. And what else have I watched? I watched a really good documentary the other night, Soaked in Bleach, about Nirvana's frontman Kurt Cobain and the police investigation in terms of his alleged suicide. Very interesting documentary, definitely throws up a lot of questions, and it's looking more and more likely that it wasn't a suicide, which I always thought it wasn't. So yeah, I'd definitely recommend checking that out, guys, if you get the chance. Okay, are those dogs the ones thumbing down your videos? No, I just think it's some immature little twat who's got nothing better to do with his time than every time I put a video up, click the thumbs down button. I hope you're proud if you're watching this. Any plans for a new movie review video? I've not bought any films, mate. I bought The Equalizer a few months ago, and that was it. I need to buy some more Blu-rays, and I still need to do the Blu-ray collection. I'm trying to work out how to do the Blu-ray collection at the moment. I did attempt it the other day, but it just didn't work at all. I've got so many Blu-rays, and trying to logistically do it so it looks good on camera. I will get there though, because I know you want that one. Would it be a good idea for you to grab a Retron 5, then you can play any Region Snes MD game? The plan is to grab a Retron 5 at some point in the future. At the moment, they're way out of my price range, so no. But I would like to get one in the future. The reason being, I want to get a game capture card in the future, and I want to start doing gameplays again on my channel. So when I can afford a capture card, a Retron 5 is really good for the retro, because trying to capture retro is a pain in the arse otherwise. And I know that I can't remember the capture card that everybody uses, but it's tethered to the PC. I'm going to go for an Ava Media Game Capture HD2, which is not tethered to a PC. You can take it anywhere you want, put an internal hard drive in there, and it really works fine. It's got a component as well as HDMI as well, which is really handy. Because apparently I can use it on the original Xbox, but apparently the PS3's, is it HDCP? I think that's what it's called, the protection. You can't capture over HDMI, you have to capture over a component, which luckily I have still got my original official component cable, so yeah. So that's the plan. If you left the UK, what 3 things would you miss the most? Sense of humour, definitely. What else would I miss? Probably the security more than anything. Compared to a lot of countries, our country is still one of the safest countries on the planet, I think. So yeah, definitely that. So the sense of humour, the sense of security. That's a really good question, Mo, because it's not something I've really ever given any thought to, but you're right. What would I miss? I'm not too sure. It does make me wonder now if it really matters where you live. I don't know. Yeah, so the sense of humour definitely. Anyway, that's really important. The sense of security definitely. But I really can't think of a third thing that I would actually miss from this country. I mean, you can't even say like the countryside and that, because other countries have got that. Or the sea. Other countries have got that as well. I'm not sure, mate. I'll have to think about that. There's 2 anyway. Okay, did you watch any of Glastonbury? I watched Kanye, not impressed. Yeah, he was a cock, wasn't he? I watched a little bit of Kanye, and for the first 5 minutes he was just standing on stage doing nothing. I was like, get on with it. I only bits I watched. Oh, what was that girl? hang on, I've got to check. I watched somebody the other night I've never heard of, and she was absolutely brilliant. I'll just find out because I pre-ordered their album after watching her. And I also watched Paul Weller. I've never listened to Paul Weller's music, not really my thing, the whole mod scene. But I was so impressed with Paul Weller's performance. He was absolutely amazing. And I don't know if it's because I've gotten older, but he was so impressive. So yeah, Paul Weller was excellent. And the other one was Leanne Lahavas. I'm not too sure how you say her surname. Yeah, she was fantastic. She reminded me of like Erykah Badu in that kind of style. So right up my street. So I've pre-ordered their album for next month. But yeah, I thought Glassman was okay. Festival-wise, I prefer download. That's my festival. Have you had any progress on your dedicated Commodore Amiga room? No, nothing at all. I haven't got the funds, basically. So that's in the pipeline. I need to get a Gotek drive as well for the Amiga, which is sitting behind the camera. So yeah, I need to get a Gotek and I need to sort the room out. Nothing's happening at all at the moment, Murray. It's very quiet on the retro front. And have you ever tried a mozzarella, pesto and tomato sandwich? I highly recommend it. That sounds pretty decent actually, mate. That sounds quite nice. I'll put that on the list. Cheers, Murray. Okay, next set of questions are from Jamie RB. So thank you, Jamie. And first question is, do you play any musical instruments? No, I don't, mate. I've tried to play guitar in the past. I haven't got the dedication that's necessary to do so. I just, yeah, a lot of things I have, I will put the time in, but man, learning guitar is hard. So I really do tip my hat to people who can play it well, because it's a tough one to do. But yeah, if you had a band, what would the name be? This is funny because years ago when I was into the metal scene, I remember at work one day we were all sitting there just chucking out band names and writing loads. And my one friend Imran come up with one of the best metal names ever, and it was Scrotum, which I thought was a great name. And I come up with this whole thing that like the band logo would be like the name Scrotum, but the T would be an inverted cross with a fingernail, so it's giving the middle finger, which I thought would be awesome. You know, just to really piss people off and cause controversy and get you in the media. So yeah, Scrotum was a great one. And what was the other ones? We had literally pages of names we were coming up with, but that was always my favourite one. I thought that was really cool. It'd be like a death metal, black metal band. I think that'd be excellent. There was one about a bear and all, something about killing a bear, but I can't think what it was. Oh, that's annoying. Yeah, we come up with a lot, but Scrotum was definitely my favourite one. Would the first-person shooter genre make a return? Should the first-person shooter genre make a return to World War II? I don't know. I'm inclined to say yes, because I love World War II. But then I think you can do a modern setting without it being a military shooter. It doesn't have to be like Modern Warfare. So you can do sci-fi, you can do a spy thriller, you can just do an action game, like a pulpy game. You can do anything really. It doesn't need to have to be an army game, you know. So there are options you can do. I mean, even in World War II, you could do something different. Instead of playing a soldier, you could be a resistance fighter in France. Because I always like France in World War II. It always looks beautiful. Yeah, I mean, there's just so many options. But yeah, I mean, I would like World War II to come back, whether it be first person, third person, whatever they do with it. But also keep the modern era, but just get away from all this military modern combat. Because the only military modern game that really impressed me was Tier 1 Medal of Honor. I absolutely love that game. I think it's fantastic. Yeah, it's got its flaws, but it was the only military-based game that really made me feel like a soldier and really made me care about the characters. I really love that game, much more than the Call of Duties. So thank you very much, James, for the questions. Next set of questions, if I can speak. Next set of questions from the legendary Keith Hewitt. Cheers, Keith. So first question, which of the following gaming challenges would you partake in? Sit atop a donkey for 24 hours and play Mario Kart constantly, £109.82. Lick the paws of a very angry lion and play Star Fox Snes, £829.29. Slide around in a field full of manure and play Shenmue for £10.68. Destroy a working NTSC SNES, £100,527,891,017. Why 17 pence? Start numbering the console generations in your videos, you cheeky sots. 100,196,082p. Whatever. I'll throw my principles out the window and I'll just name the console generations. Number the console generations even. Super Mario Maker lends itself perfectly to marriage proposals. Do you agree? Can you think of a better game for this purpose? I was just trying to think how you would do that, and I suppose maybe you could do that. I don't know. That's a weird question. Which game would be better for this purpose, for marriage proposals? Christ, mate, I don't know. Probably The Legend of Zelda. Because like that, when he like raises up, like they could put the ring on his sword. I don't know. Since the E3 Star Fox reveal, I have just been absolutely cramming as much info in as possible about it. I do daily YouTube searching for Star Fox Zero and haven't looked forward to a game this much for years. Are you the same, and are you as fond of Yoshi's Woolly World? No, I'm not, mate, because I'm not going to be buying a Wii U, to be honest with you. I'm very impressed with the title. It looks fantastic. And if the Nintendo NX is going to have backwards compatibility, and they'll sell the gamepad separately so you can use that, I might be tempted. If the NX is a good system, I'll buy an NX, or whatever it ends up being called, because obviously that's the prototype name. And then I'll just buy a gamepad and play Star Fox at that point and Yoshi's Woolly World. But yeah, the problem with all the Nintendo stuff at the moment, it looks great, it just doesn't... I just know I'm not going to enjoy them when I play them, unfortunately. Choose a career, home horticultural professional or PA to either Stevie Wonder, Pingo or Paul Gascoigne, and why? PA to Stevie Wonder because you get to travel the world, simple. And you get to meet loads of really cool people from the music industry, so for me that's an absolute win. You're decorating, the pot of paint is teetering towards a turnip farmer holding a baby sheep which is holding an original sealed Game Boy in its mouth, or a fantastic lamb kebab ethically sourced from... Even ethically sourced kebab? Okay. Ethically sourced from free-range lambs with a generous splodge of fair trade chilli sauce cooked by Heston Blumenthal. That sounds too normal for Heston to cook that. I'd rather have Jamie Oliver or Gordon Ramsay cook that. Heston cooks it, he's going to put some weird shit in there. It's going to get scientific on your ass. But yeah, I would definitely go for the kebab all day long because I love a kebab. Ellen Page are a lifetime supply of 927,026,289,091 pence per year. Per year? That's just excessive, but I'll take the money, what the hell. Which console manufacturer has the most loyal fans out of the current big three? I think Nintendo, mainly due to their pedigree. I don't agree with that. I think Nintendo fans, unfortunately, have really shamed themselves since E3 with the whole Metroid thing. I think that was disgraceful behaviour. It's quite childish, and I know it's probably because they are young and immature, but yeah, that was just unnecessary. And I also think that Nintendo fans in general, like proper hardcore Nintendo fans, are extremely blinkered and they just don't want to admit the truth. They don't want to look at it objectively. They're just like, Nintendo are the greatest company in the world. I don't care what they do, they're awesome. And that's the wrong way to look at it. So loyalty is a different thing there. So yeah, I suppose in that respect they are the most loyal fans because they all stick Nintendo no matter what, which is wrong. They'll never jump ship. But I would also say Sony fans are pretty loyal as well. In fact, all three are pretty loyal if you think about it, because you know the fanboy bullshit that goes on in the internet. But yeah, all right, maybe I will agree with you on that one in terms of loyalty. But I just don't like the way Nintendo fans have been reacting to the E3 news. I think that's pretty bad. Did Nintendo overmarket E3 this year, whereby there were very few surprises? Is it possible to overmarket a game? I don't think they did at all, no. I think the problem is they didn't have much to show. It's all right if you're a 3DS owner and you're a female or a young child and you want to play Animal Crossing and all those RPGs and things, that's great, but you know, I don't mean any disrespect to any adults who are going to criticise me for saying that, but that's just the way I feel. I think, you know, Yoshi's Woolly World, we knew it was coming, we knew it looked awesome. Apparently the reviews aren't that great, but who gives a shit, the game's going to be fun. And Star Fox was obviously coming, that was their biggest game there. And yeah, I don't think they overmarketed it at all. I don't think they ever do that. I don't think they're capable of doing that, to be quite honest with you. Is Nintendo's extensive first-party, don't know about extensive, but extensive first-party IP selection a help or hindrance in your opinion? Could they do with ditching some of them for the NX? No, definitely don't ditch any of their characters, and they never will. They've got an extensive library, they just don't really access it that often. They're pretty limited. They're pretty much limiting themselves these days. I think in the NX they need to go delve deeper and bring them all back, all the F-Zeros and all the games that people want. You know, new Metroid, the Zelda's going to be on NX. It possibly could be a bridge game where you get it on the Wii U and the NX. I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be a NX title. But you need a new Metroid, a new Zelda, a new Mario. You need a new F-Zero game. Just delve back, get a new Mega Man game on there. Just do everything basically. I know Mega Man's not theirs before. No one says I know it's Capcom's, but it's associated with Nintendo. So yeah, I mean, brand new Yoshi game and a new Punch Out would be good. I'm just looking at my amiibos. Yeah, new Donkey Kong game, obviously. Another Star Fox game at some point in the future. Obviously not too soon because I've only just done it. They'll get another Splatoon game coming as well. I'm sure they'll do that. Princess Peach needs a console game. Get a new Toad game out there. I mean, Jesus Christ, just knock them out. Just keep piling out the great games. That's what you got to do. Thanks for answering my questions. It was hard to just do 10 this time round, and I'm sure to be in hysterics by now. Even more so after this question. Choose a career and choose the best co-worker for this career and why. Right, careers: orangutan mating coordinator, soup factory supervisor, ostrich egg incubation professional, bus driver, professional cabbage smuggler, home horticultural expert, turnip farmer, shower ring salesman, urinal salesman, Western Superman dog walker, Mallorcan mafia informant, or Mallorcan, that'll be in it, Mallorcan mafia informant, I think, I'm not sure. Top cat voice actor, nice. Milk frother at Starbucks, sod that. Humpty Dumpty designer, cow milker, or Pingu impersonator. I'm going to be obvious, I'm going to go for the Western Superman dog walker because it's a beautiful place to walk dogs. And who am I going to pick for my co-worker? Stevie Wonder, Pingu, Paul Gascoigne, Katie Hopkins, Jeremy Clarkson, Mick Hucknall, Tom Jones, moi, Peter Jones the Dragon, Donald Jones, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Lenny Henry, Stephen Fry, Terry Wogan, Retro Dave Nintendo, Postman Pat, Dom Jolly. I like the fact you put Trigger Happy TV. I know Dom Jolly is, so I'm alright with that one. Jeff, my cat. Richard Hammond, Queen Elizabeth II. I like the fact you changed it from the Queen. Nice. Yoshi, Jeremy Kyle, Jesus Christ, I can't speak. Jeremy Kyle, the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, the late Rick Mail, John Cleese, James McCarthy, CEO of Poundland, Bill Gates, Joseph Muscat, Prime Minister of Malta, Inkling from Splatoon, Brad Pitt, Paris Hilton, Lorraine Kelly, Jesus Christ, Mickey Mouse, Woody Woodpecker, Samuel Pepys, bit random, okay, Sherlock Holmes, Mr. Darcy, Bishop Leonard Brennan from Father Ted, Mr. T. Rimmer from Red Dwarf, Stelios from EasyJet, Michael O'Leary from Ryanair, Nick Berry's even around anymore, King Felipe VI of Spain, or Fanny Craddock. I'm going to go with Stephen Fry, because if you're walking the dog, you want to have someone to talk to, and Stephen Fry's got so much information in his brain, he'd be a fascinating person to walk a dog with. Jesus Christ, man. Cheers, Keith. Right, guys, last set of questions come from Stroop Waffle, so thank you very much, mate. First question: what were your favourite gaming magazines back in the day? Do you remember CVG and Games Master? CVG was my magazine, mate. That was the one I read extensively. I've said before, I love that magazine. Fantastic. I also used to read Meme Machines and also Nintendo Magazine System, which I've got a couple of. And now as an adult, I read Super Play, because I never read that when it came out back in the 90s. It's a great magazine. But yeah, CVG was the one. Computer and Video Games. I love that magazine. What websites do you visit daily? Well, besides email and YouTube, not many, if I'm honest with you. I used to watch game trailers all the time, but game trailers went down the toilet, so I stopped watching it. So IGN is the only other one I really look at on a regular basis, and that's just for the podcasts, for like Game Scoop, Beyond, Podcast Unlocked, NVC, Nintendo Voice Chat, IGN UK podcast, which I really like. So yeah, all of those I watch. But yeah, I don't really. I'm trying to think. There aren't any. The only site I do daily really is YouTube. That's it. Do you read old-fashioned newspapers? Absolutely not. I cannot stand the news media in this country. When I go to my parents' house, because they still buy newspapers to do crosswords and puzzles, so I do scan the papers, and I mean scan them because they're full of bullshit. So I just don't believe a damn thing they write in them. Do you think dating is horrendous or fun? A bit of both. With the right person, it's fun, but the initial meet-up, especially if it's a blind date, that's a horrible situation. Done that a couple of times when people have set me up and you have to go and meet this person for the first time, and you just don't know how it's going to go. Yeah, it's not a good situation to be in. But I think for the most part, if it works out, then it can be really fun. It just depends on the person, their personality. I mean, there's nothing worse than going on a date and then finding that you just got nothing in common. Yeah, because then you just got to find an excuse to get out of it. You're decorating, the pot of paint is hovering above your PS3, Xbox and Amiga. What system do you push it towards? It would have to be the Xbox, just because it's the cheapest of the three and I can easily replace it. I'd hate to do that to any of those systems, but yeah, realistically that's the best option. Is Taylor Swift the new Madonna? That's a really good question. I don't know if she's quite there yet, but she's on the road to being the next Madonna, I would say, yeah. Yeah, she's definitely got the global appeal and she knows how to use social media to her advantage. And she makes fantastic music as well. But I wouldn't exactly say she was Madonna just yet. But she's close. If cyborgs become a thing, do you think they would run on a next-gen Windows operating system? No, mate. Unfortunately, they have to run on Apple. Because if they went on Windows, they'd constantly be crashing and rebooting and giving you bloody updates and resetting themselves. And you have to sit there while it does 70 updates. So yeah, I would not want to run them on a Windows platform, no matter how good Windows 10 is. Are you looking forward to Metal Gear 5? Not really. As I've said before, I'm not really into the Metal Gear games these days. I lost interest on Metal Gear 2, to be quite honest with you. And I just can't, as I've got older, I find it really difficult to play stealth games. I've just got worse at them. So no, it does look fantastic though. What is your favourite game for PS3 other than Uncharted? Heavy Rain. Love Heavy Rain. That game had such a massive impact on me when it came out. I've said before, when I first played that game, I spent a whole weekend just playing it. Just couldn't put it down. It just sucked me in. I loved the story. I thought the characters were great. I thought it was well written, really well executed. It's just an absolute superb experience. And another example of why I love Quantic Dream as a developer. It's really warm this week. Do you prefer warm or cold weather? Cold all the way, without doubt. I'm much more of a snow, ice, cold, rain. I like to be able to regulate my own temperature. So when it's cold, you can put clothes on and you can get your temperature just right. In this weather, I'm just sticky all the time and it's just horrible. It's just really, really hot and I just feel like crap. And I can't do anything. You don't want to move. You just feel absolutely knackered every time you walk around. So yeah, it's depressing when you watch Andy Murray yesterday in like 41 degree heat playing a game of tennis and he's making it look easy. And I'm sitting there absolutely dying and it's probably only in the 20s where I am. So it's all on the East Coast at the moment, down in London. They're suffering quite badly with the heat. But yeah, definitely prefer the cold. So there you go, guys. Those are the questions for this week. Thank you very much to everyone who asked me a question, as always. Really appreciate it. If you do have a question for me, guys, please email your questions to snestastic@outlook.com. And obviously, I'll get a new response up next Friday for you. So thank you very much for watching, as always, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next Friday.